I call this meeting of the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission Budget Committee to order. This meeting is being conducted by video conference. The public may participate in this meeting by joining the Zoom webinar or watching on the city's YouTube channel or Comcast Cable Channel 30 in city limits. There will be opportunities for the public to speak during the community comment time and during the public hearing. If you would like to address the committee, you may come to City Hall. Seating in chambers is limited, and speakers will be asked to leave after the part of the meeting you're interested in is finished. If you are interested in speaking, please let staff know by emailing finance@milwaukieoregon.gov for those on Zoom. The public may also participate in the Zoom webinar by phone by dialing 1-253-215-8782, entering webinar ID 893-0252-3279 and passcode 130208. If you are calling in through Zoom and would like to make a comment, dial *9 to raise your hand. When it is time to take public comments, staff will monitor the comment cards, email inbox, the Zoom participant list, and chat. We will take comments in the order they are received and seen. Written comments may be emailed to finance@milwaukieoregon.gov. Spanish translation services are available upon request. The public is asked to request translation and other meeting accessibility services at least 48 hours before the meeting. Translation services are also available in other languages. At this time, we will do introductions of those present, starting with the City Council, Budget Committee members, and then the city staff.
Good morning, Mark Yamba, Mayor.
Kathy Heisey. I'm also the City Council appointee to the MRC CAC.
Lisa Bailey,
Leslie.
City Councilor.
Leslie Schachner, the committee member.
John Saul, committee member.
Michael Osborne, citizen member.
Kaylee Nance, citizen member.
Anna Ober, city manager. I also wanted to take just a moment to clarify that typically we would have 10 members of this committee. One of the individuals is running a little late. We'll be here in a minute. We also have a vacancy on the city council. And then we have an individual who has asked for a pause in their service. They'll be returning to this board in June. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Bonnie Dennis, the Administrative Services Director.
Good morning, Keith McClung, Assistant Finance Director.
Judy Serio, accountant.
Go next. I'm Kelly Brooks. I'm the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission Executive Director and the Assistant City Manager. So you'll see me wear both hats.
Peter Pastorelli, Public Works Director.
Ryan Burdick, Police Captain.
The next order of business is the approval of the minutes. Does anyone have any comments or corrections to the May 23rd, 2020 meeting minutes of the MRC Budget Committee? Hearing no edits.
I have a question, which just occurred to me as I was looking at this. Has it been 2 years since the MRC met? Is it 2020?
Yes, that is correct. For the Budget Committee.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Not otherwise.
Right. I'm clear now. It's once a biennium.
We've had Desi join us as well. Desi, can you introduce yourself and title?
There's an Nicodemus, city councilor.
If there's no further edits on the minutes, I will entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the May 23rd, 2020 MRC Budget Committee meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
It has been moved to approve the minutes from May 23rd, 2020 Budget Committee. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next order of business is the appointment of the chair and vice chair.
So I like to make an option if the committee members would like. Typically, we do the chair and the vice chair voting every time we start the new budget. So it's an every 2-year cycle. I did talk to our city recorder, and there is the possibility that we can, rather than having a chair and a vice chair separate from the regular budget committee and the MRC, if the committee members would like, we could have a motion to have the same chair and vice chair of the citywide budget also be the chair and vice chair for the MRC budget. So I wanted to put that out there. If not, then we can definitely keep what we're doing. There is not actually a set of bylaws for the MRC budget committee, but we can work this in probably in the next year, 2 years. So, well,
I move to have the chair of the budget committee also be the chair of the MRC and vice chair.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded to change the voting requirements of the chair and vice chair for the MRC budget to follow that of the chair and vice chair of the city's budget committee. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Chair Stockner, I'm handing you the gavel.
Thank you. I call to order the public hearing on the proposed Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission biennium budget for fiscal years 2023 and 2024. The purpose of this hearing is to hear the staff reports and take public comment on the proposed action. Does any member of the committee wish to announce any actual or potential conflicts of interest?
No.
Oh, okay. If none, seeing none, we will now hear from Kelly Brooks, the Executive Director of the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission.
Good morning, everyone. So I have been told that I get to read you the budget message that I put in your binders. So you can follow along there if you want, or I would also encourage you to get a tea or coffee while I read to you, if that helps. And then I'll walk through a quick PowerPoint just highlighting kind of some of the major activities that I think that you'll be seeing from us over the next couple of years. So I am pleased to present you with the proposed biennial budget for fiscal years 2023 through 2024 for the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission, or MRC. This budget cycle includes the first 2 years of the recently created 5-year action plan for the district. Urban renewal activities are funded through a mechanism called tax increment financing, or TIF, authorized under Oregon Revised Statute 457. When the plan was adopted in 2016, the existing tax base for the urban renewal area was frozen. This is referred to as the frozen base. Property value increases and new development within the plan area that increases revenue above the frozen base, it's allocated to the MRC and can be spent within the boundaries of the urban renewal area, or URA. TIF is important as it provides funding for redevelopment projects that enhance areas of livability and ultimately increase the tax base within the district. TIF can be used to provide much needed infrastructure, amenities, and investments in new housing and commercial development, as well as improvements to existing buildings within the URA. Milwaukee's URA focuses primarily in the downtown and central commercial areas. The frozen base for Milwaukee's URA is $135,994,953. It is forecasted to reach a maximum indebtedness of $92,500,000 in 2049. Maximum indebtedness is an estimate of future property tax growth over the period based on detailed assumptions, estimates, and projects from the plan. By late 2020, sufficient tax increment had accrued to justify development of a 5-year investment strategy for the district. Furthermore, multiple citywide plans like the Community Vision and Action Plan of 2017, the Comprehensive Plan adopted in 2020, supplied further direction on where investments should be focused. Therefore, the MRC authorized the development of a more focused near-term investment strategy to ensure that our funds align with community needs. A 2021 financial analysis found that the district is projected to have robust growth, but not as strong as the 2016 forecast. Annual TIF increases are expected to grow rapidly, which supports the fund to incur debt. Therefore, the city is well positioned to invest up to $10 million in projects between 2023 and 2028. Actual borrowing capacity will depend heavily on specific loan terms for new debt. Financing assumptions used for the forecast were 5% interest, 20-year loan duration, and 1.5 times desired service coverage ratio. The 5-year action plan begins to fulfill the goals and objectives of the Milwaukie urban renewal area by focusing on investments that reflect the highest priorities of our community, maximize TIF dollars, and can be completed within 5 years. These priorities were shaped by input from the MRC, the MRC Community Advisory Committee, the community at large, and neighborhood district associations. The MRC is managed by city staff and conforms to the same financial policies as the city. The city is committed to responsible fiscal management through financial integrity, prudent stewardship of public assets, planning, accountability, and transparency. These fiscal policies enable the city to achieve and maintain a long-term, stable, and positive financial condition, and are the basic framework for overall financial management, day-to-day, and long-range fiscal planning and decision-making. The financial policies can be found within the city's biennial budget. And with that, I'm done reading. We can go to the slides. So if you all want to kind of follow along with your book, we're in your hard copy binder, we're on tab 7, page 209. I think if you're looking at the PDF version, it's page 217. And you can go to the next slide, Ronnie. Okay, so this is a map, just so you all can see. I mentioned that it's generally, downtown and central Milwaukie, but these are the boundaries. So when we were looking at investments, they all need to be contained within the lines on this map. You can go to the next slide. I talked about it in the budget message, but this really, the development of the 5-year action plan has been the major work item over the past budget. And I do want to thank Councilor Heisey for her participation in the creation of the plan, and the MRC, the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission as a whole, for helping advise as we went. But we went back to the adopted 2016 plan. We looked at all the projects. We got updated financial analysis of how much funding there would be to spend. And then we worked through what were the biggest priorities for us moving forward in the next 5 years. And as I mentioned, feasibility was one of the primary criteria that we needed to apply to ensure we could actually move forward within a 5-year span. So next slide. So the 5-year action plan breaks down into 2 major categories. There's capital investments, infrastructure projects, and then there's programs that are more geared towards economic development. Those programs are still purchasing capital, but you just see it in a different way. So some examples of that are on this slide. You can do outdoor seating, more formalized outdoor seating. You can do storefront improvements. You can also do tenant improvements within buildings if that would help activate storefront space. So we do have funds allocated to those types of projects in this budget. Next slide. With respect to infrastructure, I just wanted to highlight a couple of the larger ticket items. So the URA is planning to invest in the Monroe Street Greenway, which you have heard about in the capital investment plan update, and you'll likely hear a little bit more about it today as you move through the utility funds. The section, we call it segment C, which is right, it's just east of 224 and it goes over the railroad tracks, has been unfunded. And so the URA, because that's covered within the map, can invest in that part of the project. And it does leverage significant federal, state, and other dollars in a way that the committee was excited about. So there is an investment there in central Milwaukee. My favorite picture of crosswalks that are being driven over and erased on 99E in Milwaukee. We do have some funds put towards trying to update those crosswalks to help brighten up the entryway to our community and potentially make some safety improvements at the intersections as well. And then the South Downtown Plaza, the plaza itself has been constructed and is substantially complete, but we've always wanted to add some type of shade element. We know that when that's actually activated in the summer months, it's going to get pretty hot down there. So we have some funds in the plan to add some shade elements, sales, something. We haven't quite figured it out yet, but something to make it a little bit more hospitable to use the space. Next slide. So what are our goals moving into 23 and 24? We want to take this plan and we want to activate it. So we have funds for programs, like I mentioned, but we need to have criteria, and we actually also need to go out and talk to our colleagues throughout the state on best practices. And then we need to issue some grants and get people excited about making investments in Milwaukee. We're partnering with the city's affordable housing program by contributing $750,000 towards affordable housing projects within the district. This was important because one of the primary goals of the MRC is to support economic growth without contributing to displacement. So the affordable housing investment goes hand in hand with these other items. And Joseph Briglio, our community development director, will be talking more about CET and affordable housing in his presentation later today. And then to make all this happen, we have to issue debt. So we'll be staring really hard at what we have planned for 23 and 24, working with the finance team to make sure we're smart and following best practices about how to issue debt in a way that's going to support our work and is in the best interests of the district in the long term. Next slide. And this is in your book. Over the 23-24 period, you'll see that most of the investment is slated for 24, and that is reflective of the fact that I view 23 as still, we have quite a bit of work to do. So a lot of those grants that we're talking about may not actually get issued till 24. We do know that the Monroe Greenway project is on a trajectory, but it's on a long trajectory. So a lot of our investments are hitting in 24. We have a total, we're looking at a total debt issuance of 6.5 million. And so that's where we are. I see comments popping up, but I will close this out and respond to this. Is there any questions about anything with respect to the budget table? Okay.
I have a question, and it might be for Bonnie. In terms of debt, we've never issued debt for this. Is that correct? And then is it going to get like the same credit rating as our regular debt, or how does that work?
Yeah, it should fall, well, I'll have to double check this with the financial advisor, but it should all fall in the same line of the city, even though it is a separate entity, but it is backed by the city.
Thank you.
So my question was also about that. As I saw the chart, it was at 6.5 million is the debt sort of placeholder. But you're saying we won't necessarily, I mean, that would be the upper limit of what
That's the upper limit.
That's the upper limit. Okay.
Yeah. And again, we had to kind of look through, work with Bonnie on where we're sitting, but I tried to create it so that we have the right menu of options, but 6.5 is the upper limit.
I have a question, which is not about the schedule, but is sort of a basic question about the Redevelopment Commission itself, which I am not real familiar with. In your narrative letter, you mentioned that we're forecasted to reach maximum indebtedness in 2049. And so my question relates to a year in which this commission will cease to exist and all of that extra taxing will come back directly to the city, or what does that mean, I guess is what I'm saying.
Ooh, that's good.
Does the redevelopment commission last forever? Does the tax deferral into the redevelopment commission or some point at which the extra development that's occurred comes back to the city directly?
Okay, I think I know how to answer this, but if I'm off, Bonnie might, yeah. But so what the number that to pay attention to is the maximum indebtedness. So until we hit that maximum indebtedness, we can continue to exist. We can't exceed that though. So sometimes you'll see URAs, they'll need to do an amendment to authorize themselves to exist longer into the future because they haven't expended all their they haven't hit their maximum indebtedness target. Okay. Or limit, I should say, not target. And so that's my understanding that's it for us.
That's very helpful. Okay. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Councilor Beatty has one.
Well, I would just add to that, because I was on the committee back in 2016, when the, whether the maximum, whether the committee has to exist till the end. I mean, I guess a committee exists, but it could be that you've spent your money or you've allocated it in the last few years. You're kind of just spending whatever you've planned out. But I do think the thing that's interesting about it is that once the revenue comes back to the city, it feels like a windfall to the general fund because suddenly it's getting, all this increment that has accrued that it hasn't been getting because of this frozen base for 29 years or whatever. So whoever's on the budget committee and the city council in 2029 or something, will have what kind of feels like a windfall. I remember when the Clackamas County, some of their urban renewal districts around the Clackamas Town Center came to an end and they suddenly, were like, oh, we have all this extra money.
That's also helpful.
Yeah.
I just want to highlight that I'm having trouble hearing, and I don't know if it's my internet connection or whatever, but if you can't hear me, it's because my computer is screwing up. So thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. I have no further questions. Anybody else?
Leslie, it does appear that you're lagging internet-wise, just so that you know.
So Kelly, are you done?
I'm done. Thank you.
So just as a tip, sometimes it helps to turn off the video because then the bandwidth.
Okay, well, I don't. Okay, I can do that. Hopefully, is that helpful?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Now you're not.
Hear me now?
Yeah. You're breaking up less.
Okay. Okay. So does anybody else have any discussion? Do you have anything else to say, Kelly? Are we done?
I do not. I am finished. Thank you all so much for your time.
Okay. During which the committee will hear community member statements regarding the proposed MRC biennium budget for 2023 and 2024. Those wishing to speak, please email finance@milwaukieoregon.gov, raise your hand in Zoom, or write a comment in the Zoom chat to indicate that you wish to speak. If you are calling in through Zoom and would like to make a comment, dial your comments. Please state your name and city of residence for the record. If you would like the city to follow up with you, please submit your contact information. It has other business items on the agenda today. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Because information provided during community comments may be news, respond at the next committee meeting to those. So do we have anybody wishing to speak?
We do. And I also wanted, before we go into that moment, I did want to see if we want to move to the vice chair running the meeting. And that way, Leslie, you can participate in the discussion, but not run, just so that you don't have to speak quite as much.
Can you say that again?
Sure. I think it makes sense to have Councillor Beatty actually take on his chair.
Let Lisa take it over?
Yeah.
Sure. I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there were a couple things that got lost in the glitches of what Leslie read that I do want to make sure people heard, which is if you're calling in via Zoom and you want to comment, dial *9 to raise your hand. That's how you let us know you want to comment. And I think the email came through, but if you would like to follow up, please submit your contact information to finance@milwaukieoregon.gov. Did other people think I needed to reread the whole thing? No?
I think you're okay.
Okay. So I guess there was a question for staff about whether there were any comments received.
There was a comment received. Bonnie, do you want to speak to that? And then, thank you.
We did receive a comment, but it's actually for the city budget and not for the MRC budget. They are in the waiting room, but we did just message them and they're waiting for the city budget.
Okay. Have we received any well, okay, I guess I'm looking to Keith now. There's nobody indicating that they want to speak. Nobody in City Hall.
Nobody's in the waiting room to speak for MRC. No.
Okay. Have we received any correspondence on the proposed MRC biennium budget?
No, we haven't.
I haven't received it either.
Okay. Does the staff have anything to add? Which, as well, we didn't have any testimony, so I guess there's nothing to add addressing testimony. Does any member of the committee have any questions regarding clarification of the testimony to this point, or any final questions? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to close the public testimony portion of the MRC biennium budget for 2023 and 2024.
I move to close the testimony.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public testimony portion of the MRC biennium budget for 2023 and 2024. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. The public testimony is closed. Is there any further discussion needed by the commission members? Not seeing anything. If the committee is ready to vote, I will now entertain a motion to approve and recommend the MRC budget and property taxes to City Council.
I move to approve the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission proposed budget totaling $9,883,000 for biennium 2023 and 2024, with the property taxes for the 2023 and 2024 fiscal years for the maximum amount of revenue that may be raised by dividing the taxes under Section 1C, Article CI of the Oregon Constitution and Oregon Revised Statutes, Chapter 457.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission proposed budget $9,883,000 for biennium 2023 and 2024, with the property taxes for the 2023 and 2024 fiscal years for the maximum amount of revenue that may be raised by dividing the taxes under Section 1C, Article CI of the Oregon Constitution and Oregon Revised Statutes, Chapter 457. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. None heard. It passes unanimously. In light of that, I would like to entertain a motion to cancel the May 14th, 2022 MRC Budget Committee meeting that had been tentatively scheduled.
I move to cancel the May 14th, 2022 MRC Budget Committee meeting.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
A second. It has been moved and seconded to cancel the May 14th, 2022 MRC Budget Committee meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Please say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Are there any other items the committee would like to discuss? All right, in light of that, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned.
Thank you. If everyone can just stay here on this Zoom meeting, we're just going to continue on to the regular budget meeting here as soon as we flip things over. It's Kathy.
Bonnie, I just want to suggest to Leslie that she, while we have a second, try logging off and logging back on, because sometimes that can help with the connection.
Yeah, I wondered if we wanted to give her 5 or 10 minutes to see if something like that, or maybe elsewhere in her house, maybe closer or further from the Wi-Fi device would help.
Well, I looked at my, I checked it and I'm on my, so all I can say is my CenturyLink varies. I guess I am not very high priority for getting a good signal. I'm only 10 feet away from the modem, so I don't think moving it around is going to help. But I will sign off and sign back on if you guys think that might help.
Give it a try. Give it a try.
Okay.
Okay, so do we want to just give everybody like a 5-minute break before we reconvene? So that is, let's say 9:45 we reconvene. Is that good? Okay.